Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at money and converting between pounds and pence. Now, converting between pounds and pence is the same as converting between any other kind of numbers. All you need to do is figure out the number, the conversion rate to go from one to the other. And with pounds and pence, it's 100. There are 100 pennies in a pound, so 100 is the conversion rate. And to go from pennies to pounds, you just divide the number by 100, because 100 divided by 100 is 1. And if you've got pounds and you want to change them into pennies, then you just multiply by 100. Same as any other type of conversion. The conversion rate for pounds and pence is 100. If you want to end up with a smaller answer, you divide. If you want to end up with a larger answer, you times. And that's all there is to it. So to go from £4, for instance, to pennies, you times by 100. I want the number to end up bigger. So yes, pence are smaller than pounds, but we're thinking in terms of the numbers with conversions. The number 400 is bigger than the number 4. So you want the number to get bigger, so you multiply by 100. 17 times by 100, 1,700. And if you can't remember how to multiply by 10 or 100, try and remember place value columns, and I've made videos on that explaining it if you need to go back over it. So if you need to multiply by 100, then you move everything up 2 place value columns. If you need to divide by 100, you move everything down 2 place value columns. We've practiced this a lot, so hopefully you're pretty okay with doing it. And if you've got decimals, it's the same thing. To go from pounds to pence, you just multiply. £2.64, 2.64, multiply by 100, you'll get 264, as you can see here. 2.64, multiply by 100, move it up 2 place value columns, you get the 2 in the hundreds, 6 goes up to the tens, and the 4 goes up to the units. And remember, as always, if you've got a 0 in between two numbers, you need to move that 0 as well. 306 should end up as 306. You're just moving the columns up, or down if you're dividing. On a similar note, strangely enough, for pounds and pence, if there's a 0 on the end, we keep it. So normally, if you wrote 7.60, you could write that as 7.6 as well, and that's perfectly correct. But with pounds and pence, we always write 2 decimal places for all of the pennies. £7.60 is how we would write it. We would not write it as £7.6. It's just a strange little thing with pounds and pennies. But don't take off any extra zeros or add any extra zeros for the decimals with pounds and pence. There should always be 2 columns for the pennies if you've got any pennies at all, and however many columns you need for the pounds. Don't write £7.6, write it as £7.60. 2 columns for the 10 pennies and for the single pennies. And as always with converting, if you make a mistake, you can usually figure it out just by having a little common sense think. So for instance, if you had 621 pence, now you should, if you wanted to convert that into pounds, divide it by 100, because you want a smaller number of pounds and pence, so it's divide. But here I've accidentally multiplied it by 100. But if you just look at these numbers, you should be able to see pretty quickly that it's quite silly. 621 pence, £62,100. That's an awful lot of pounds for a few hundred pennies. So it should be pretty obvious pretty quickly if you check that that's way too much. Same thing if I did it the other way around. 7.30 pounds. So to go from pounds to pennies, I should be multiplying, because you want to have more pennies than pounds, but here I've divided it. I've made it a lot smaller. £7.30, 0.073 pennies, not even a single penny. is the same as £7.30. That doesn't really make much sense. So if you make a mistake like this, hopefully just by looking at it, it should be fairly obvious you've made a mistake. And one final thing, we never ever write both pounds and pennies together. You either write your answer in pounds, as this should be. If there's a decimal, it's in pounds. And then if you were to write it as pennies, you would need to convert it into pence. So you would either write £4.06 as £4.06, 4.06 pounds basically, or, excuse me, you would write it as 406 pennies. You never write both pounds and pence in a single answer. It's either written in pounds or it's written in pence. This number does not exist. It's one or the other. That's it. If you have any problems, of course, just speak to me or Mr. Doman in the Zoom lesson and ask for some help. Good luck everyone. I will see you next week.